In this module, we're going to talk about barcodes and getting what's called the FNSKU, which is a unique barcode for your product that Amazon uses in their warehouses. Now, an FNSKU is not required, but if you don't have it, you have the chance of your inventory being commingled. For example, a lot of times people that are doing arbitrage or something, that they will just use the UPC of the product that they're buying and sending in. But as a private label seller, I really encourage you to use an FNSKU. It just makes things easier, and it makes things so that there's less chance of something actually getting commingled or something getting mixed together. So you have a couple options though to before you add your product. In most cases, you're going to need a barcode, and a barcode is that little number that has all the little lines and stuff on the bottom. And there's a company called GS1 that actually is like the global company for issuing barcodes. They issue barcodes and EANs and a whole bunch of other stuff that are accepted worldwide. Now you can go and find barcodes sometimes on eBay, or there's other companies that sell barcodes fairly cheaply. I don't recommend you do that. A lot of sellers have been doing that, but you're running a risk if you do that. Amazon actually has a rule that says that your barcode has to be a GS1 barcode, and the name in the GS1 database has to match your name on your Amazon account. So whatever you register your barcode with GS1 is, whatever your corporate name is, not your brand name, but your corporate name, whatever that is on your Amazon account, those should match. They have not been enforcing that all the time, but I think they actually may start enforcing that, because that could eliminate some of the counterfeiters and some of the problems they're having. So it's better off to be prepared and not use one of these other barcodes that you get cheaply off of eBay or from one of these other companies. There's several of them out there. The way those other companies do it is back several years ago, GS1, you would just pay a one-time fee, and you would get what's called a prefix. It's like a 5 or 6 digit number. It's a little prefix. And then the rest of the numbers you could just make up on the backside. For example, my barcode for one of my companies I've had for 20 years. So I don't have to go to GS1 and pay like an annual fee, because I can just make up as many barcodes as I want. And so that's what those guys are doing, is they have a prefix, and they just make up a lot of barcodes, numbers on the end, and then they sell them to you really cheap. But what happens is when Amazon takes a look at that database, if they tie into that database, it's going to have that company's name as the owner of the barcode and not your name. If you ever go into retail, if you ever decide to try to get your business and you want to get into Bed Bath & Beyond or one of the automotive shops or in toy stores or Walmarts or wherever it may be, actual retail stores, you're going to have this. They will not accept it. They are much more stringent than Amazon is at the current time on dotting all your I's and crossing all your T's. So I recommend, if you're going to get a barcode, you go to GS1. Now this is the site here, gs1us.org is the actual site for the barcode, and you can come here and just apply. You almost get it instantly. Now you can, one of the tricks is sometimes you can get barcodes cheaper in other countries. So you could just come here and apply right here, and it'll walk you through the whole steps of getting the barcode. But let me go back over here, and you can see here they have some information on the site, so you can see different things. But like if you want to get a barcode, right, they have an overview of how everything works. There is a one-time upfront fee depending on how many barcodes you need. For example, the fee is changing, so you can see here's an estimator that you can use right here, so you can actually see that and estimate. And then here's the pricing as of right now. This could change, but 1 to 10 barcodes is an initial fee of $250, which is going to be more than enough for most of you. And there's an annual renewal fee of $50. And you can always upgrade these plans later, so you can just start with the basic plan now. Now this is the best way to do it. Like I said, you could go and get barcodes cheaper somewhere else, but I really don't recommend it. I think you're opening yourself up. You may be fine for a year or two, but you may be opening yourself up for some potential problems where I would hate to see you're cranking along and all of a sudden Amazon decides to enforce this rule and you get your listing shut down. or suspended or something, and then you're scrambling and you're kind of screwed. Now there are ways to get exemptions to the barcode. So Amazon actually has a page here. If you Google Amazon Seller Central barcode exemption, or GTIN exemption, you can probably actually find this page. It's a big long link right here. Here's the actual link: sellercentral.amazon.com gphelp help.html, and there's the ID. This Amazon sometimes moves these pages around, so that's why I said it might be just faster. Just Google this right here. You'll probably be the first thing that lists. But this will show you all the requirements. So if you're private label, or the publisher doesn't have it, or it's handmade, or something, you can apply for an exemption. Not everybody's eligible. There's some brands that aren't. But if you want to do that, you can apply for exemption. One of the requirements, as you can see here, is you're going to have to show some examples of your product and the packaging to do this. So if you don't have the product and packaging yet, you're not going to be able to apply for this exemption. But if you want to do that, you can go through here. That'll save you some money in the beginning, but at some point you're going to need that barcode. And I just believe it's better to have it up front and to do things right than to try to cut corners here and there. So once you've applied for this barcode and you have it, or you've done the exemption, you're going to want to go over to Amazon. And what we can do, you're going to log into your Seller Central account, and we're not ready yet to complete our listing. This is a little tester account we have here, just a little demo account, so I can show you. But this particular account, if we want to list a new product, now maybe we don't know yet, we don't have our pictures taken, we don't know which keywords we're going to go after. All we're at right now is at the stage where we're like, we found a factory, we're ready to get the product started to be made. Maybe you got someone still making your logo, still working on things, but in order to get the product made, you're going to need to get a barcode to print on the packaging. Now you could print the UPC barcode that on the packaging, but when you do that, that means things could get commingled. And so, like, if say that the reason I don't like to do that, even as a private label seller, is because if I put a barcode on there and I ship that out, and someone buys my product, let's say some guy, I'm doing a promotion, he buys my products really cheap, and then he sends them back into Amazon. He messes with them, so he takes them and opens them up and changes the product out and puts something else in there, and then sends them back into Amazon. As they can get commingled. And so when they're commingled under that UPC, that means that products from different manufacturers are all put into the same inventory. So when there's a problem with one of them, they don't always it's not always clear who caused the problem. So that's why I like to use an FNSKU, which is a barcode unique to Amazon. So on my products that I have in stores, I have one set of packaging that has a UPC, and then I have another set of packaging that has what's called the FNSKU. So we need to get that FNSKU from Seller Central, because we're going to need to give that to whoever is designing our packaging, whether that's your factory or whether that's you got a designer doing it. They're going to need that. And so this is how you're going to do it. You're going to come into Seller Central, and you're going to go under Inventory right here, and you're going to check on the Add a Product option. And now if the product already exists, you can enter the UPC and stuff in here, but for most of us, this is going to be a brand new product. So we're going to want to click here and say, create a new product listing, and for most of us. So here you could actually type in what your product is, and Amazon will make some recommendations. So if we're doing this cornhole game, I type in cornhole game, find the category. These are the two categories that they recommend for cornhole games go in. So I've done some research when I was using my X-ray and doing my research. I saw that most of these guys that were doing pretty well, some of the top sellers, a lot of them were in the sports and outdoors category. So I'm going to want to pay attention to that, and I'm going to want to go into this sports and outdoors category. And they have one here called sports and outdoors games. And so if I click on that, now there may be one, I could refine that more, probably to cornhole games. Let's go back and just take a look and see what other options there might have been over there. Just for example, so we have beanbag game sets here. Now if you're using a flat file, to upload your inventory. Another way that you can actually, you have a few more options. Then this is called the GUI. So if you're using a flat file, that's what this right here, add products via upload, is. A flat file is a big Excel spreadsheet. That's a little bit more advanced for most new sellers, so we don't really cover it here. But people that have thousands of products, or that if you're advanced or you're good with Excel and good with data, you might want to consider doing the add products via upload. Because when you do that, you can download these templates or like Excel files, and you can enter. That gives you a few more options. But for most of you right now, I would not worry too much about that. We'll do it through the GUI. So if we had the cornhole game, you could also click down in here, and you could, if you don't want Amazon to find the category, you could choose a category. I could say sports and outdoors, outdoor recreation. Let's see if one of these might accessories maybe. Let's see if it gives me games or anything. Not in that particular one. Sports and fitness. So you can scroll through here and look around you if you want, but probably the best way is to hit this find category. And so if I want to put this in Bing Bag Game Sets, for example, I just click on that, and that's going to automatically put me in Bing Bag Game Sets. Now you'll see here there's an advanced view you can toggle on. That's going to add some more columns up here. We'll talk about these later when you're doing your listing, but for right now, just this basic view is okay. And you see these ones with a triangle. These are the ones you need to fill in just basic information. So the basic information on this, if there's a recommend, and this will vary, so your screen might look different from this depending on the category you're in. But for this one, let's say that the cornhole game is for kids that are 8 and up. You can enter your product name here, Kevin's, and you can come back and change this later, so you're not stuck with this. If I enter Kevin's cornhole game, and we'll talk about this in a later module, this is your product title. So this is probably the most important thing on your entire listing, but you don't have to worry about getting this right here. You can just put a basic information right there. Your brand name, if you have the brand name yet, make sure this matches exactly to the T, to the spacing, to the apostrophe. Everything is exactly the way it is on your trademark application. If you have a manufacturer, maybe it's Kevin's Cornhole Games, or maybe I have another Kevin's Games or whatever. And if you have a part number, this is like your own SKU. So if you don't have one, if you have a numbering system for your own parts, that's great, or if you have an internal system. But if you don't, you can just assign a number. So maybe I'm just going to call this KG for Kevin's Games -001. It's my first game. Whatever you want to do here, you can just put that in. Now you see how I can't save and finish yet because I still got some triangles up here. So I need to go the variations. I don't need to enter this right now. If I had variations, I could mess with that. We'll talk about that later. We're just going to enter the basic information. So if I go to the offer, this is the seller SKU. You have an option of entering that right here. So that would be that KG-001 if I wanted to enter mine. If you don't enter this, you can leave it blank. Amazon will just assign something to it. They'll make something up. So that's up to you. The condition, if you're selling private label, it should always be new. It should always be new. And your price. This is this price you're going to sell it at. This is your recommended price. Now you can come and change this later, so you don't have to worry about getting this. You're like, I don't know what price I'm going to sell it at. Just, if you know it's the ballpark, if it's going to be $49.95, I'm just going to enter that now. You can come back before your listing goes live. You can change this, so don't worry too much about that right now. Most of you are going to be doing FBA, so Amazon will ship and provide customer service. This one is the first one's for merchant fulfilled, so you're going to leave that one checked. And then we have this one's requiring me to enter a target audience, and you can hit this add more to add more fields here, but I'm just going to enter target, and again you can come back and change this later, but the target audience for this product might be outdoor campers and tailgaters for like football games or something. It doesn't really matter what you put here. They just require you put something, and you can change it later. Now you see I still can't hit this because something's missing in the vital info. So on this one, we're still missing some information. On the product ID, you're going to have to pull it down to whichever one you have here. Now I have a UPC I'm going to enter right here. It's just one from my account that it's not assigned to anybody. If this is already previously assigned, that's the problem if you buy these somewhere. You might get one that was given to somebody else, and it's going to give you an error message right here. Or if you enter this incorrectly, there's a check digit on the number of this, on the end of this. If that number is incorrect, it's kind of like on credit cards, there's a check digit on the end. If that number is incorrect, it won't go through either. But once you have the UPC, which I recommend you do, or if you have one of the others, that's okay too, but the UPC is best. We have that entered. Now you see this is lit up. We can save and finish. So if I hit save and finish, I've got the basic info in there. Now we're going to come back later and we'll add our pictures and add our description and keywords and a whole bunch more stuff. But this just gets the basic listing there, so it doesn't start the clock clicking or anything on any kind of sales. It just gets you into the system. So now when we come back over here to manage inventory or manage FBA inventory, we can see now our product is right here. And here Amazon's assigned it an ASIN. This is the ASIN that's been assigned to it right here, so that's an important thing to make notice of. Here's our SKU. If I didn't enter that, Amazon would assign one to me. There's 0 available. You don't need to worry about this right now. The UPC is over here, and all this you don't need to worry about. You can see it's suppressed because there's no pictures yet. So if someone searches for this on Amazon, it's not going to show up. If I click on it from here, I can actually get to the page. So if I click on it right there, there's the current page. So you can kind of see it behind the scenes, but when it says it's suppressed, it's not in the index, so people can't actually find it unless they have the direct link that has that ASIN in it. So now what we can do is we can just come over here and click on this item, and then we can say, come down to this little pull up right here with that one, click it, say print item labels. Now sometimes we might get an error right there. If you get an error right there, what you can do is you can just make sure you change it to fulfilled by Amazon. So for example, if you get an error right there, it's just a weird idiosyncrasy. You can come over here to this edit, and here this says actually this might say change to fulfilled by Amazon. You would click on that and go through those steps, and then you can get the label. So if you get an error right here, that means you might not have set it up correctly to be fulfilled by Amazon. And so just go over here and say this will look different. It will say change to fulfilled by Amazon. Click on that. I'll walk you through a couple steps. It'll ask you about is it hazardous or not, and then once you've done that, this process will work. So you're going to click on this. I'm going to say print item labels. When we do that, you see the product comes up right here. The number of labels to print. So if you were labeling this as shelf and there's 30 on a sheet, you could change this to 30. But in our case, all we want is one label because we need to give this to our manufacturer or our designer. You can choose the size right here of the paper, and I'm just going to say print item label, and it's going to create a PDF for me. And so it's going to create this PDF. When I open this PDF, there's my FN SKU label, FN SKU label. This is what will identify that this product is mine on Amazon. Now this part right here you can leave off if you want. It's going to print it here, but when you tell your manufacturer or your designer to put the barcode on there, you can tell them just this part is fine. You don't, because maybe you're going to change this name later. This is just that name I entered. But you can leave that part off. Amazon kind of likes to see the new on there, but this part here, or if you know what it is, you can change it. But a lot of times I don't even put the new. I just list this right here, and that's the FN SKU. And you can just give this PDF to your designer, and they can just cut this out of here and use it in your design. So that's how you get the label that you're going to need to get to your factory or to your designer for Amazon. And so I hope this has helped you, and we'll see you in the next module.